Hello, this is Howard Wright, Senior Minister of the Camp Creek Church of Christ. We are very thankful that you are viewing one of our services on YouTube. What we try to do in our service and in our preaching is give it to you right from the Word. We are glad that you have watched this. We hope you'll continue to watch. And we are, again, the church that camps by the creek, Camp Creek Church of Christ, 2400 Merck Road. Our phone number is 404-349-2852. If we can be of any service to you, please feel free to call us and we will respond to your need. Thank you again for viewing our service from the Camp Creek Church of Christ. Now, Paul said something else here. After Peter said what he said, Paul comes along in 1 Corinthians 10 and verse 31. He says, whatever you do, you need to do it to whom? To the very glory of God. Now, Brother Wilkerson loves this phrase, hurts, habits, and hangups. That when he dies, we're going to put that on his tombstone and say, here's a man who all of his life tried to help people through their hurts, habits, and hangups. Now let's think about a couple habits here just for a second. See, we all got some, and some of them are not very good. And here's what I want you to think about when you think about your habit. Yes. I want you to think about, Lord, I'm doing this for your glory. Yeah. I'm smoking this for your glory. I'm drinking this for your glory. I'm eating this for your glory. I'm snorting this for your glory. I'm hitting this for your glory. I'm cursing this for your glory. I'm gambling with this money for your glory. Whatever you do in word or deed, you ought to be able to say, I'm doing it for the glory and the honor of God. Listen now to Paul again in 1 Corinthians 10:31. He says, whether therefore you eat or drink, or whatever you do it all to the glory of God. Yeah. 1 Peter again says that God in all things may be what? Glorified. Now right now, watch this. We are under the roof of the church that camps by the creek. Yeah. And it's good to be under the church roof. But guess what? Tomorrow, you and I are going to be under the church of the sky. Yeah. Yeah. And every place that you and I go, we ought to remember that it's going to be an act of worship. Yes. So when you curse somebody out, that's your act of worship. When you snort something up your nose, just remember, that's your act of worship. When you cut in on somebody and then put on your brakes, that's your act of worship. We need to be careful that when we go out to the church of the sky, that we take our worship experience with us. See, what I'm talking about is, here's what we need to do, church. We need to take the so-called secular and sanctify it. We need to take the everyday and edify it. That God in all things might be glorified. We don't just come to worship, turn it on, and then turn it off. The sermons that I preached, the songs that I sang, the lessons that I taught in Sunday school, my school grades, my home life, God is looking at my business life. He's looking at my recreation. Yeah. God is looking at my hobbies. Yeah. What do you say? God's looking at my life. Not just on Sunday. No, sir. He's looking at my life on a daily basis. Yeah. Whatever you do, in word or in deed, do it all in the name or to the glory of God. Now, that means that there's no ground that's not holy ground. Amen. This is holy ground. This is holy ground right up here. And you know, something about kids, you know, kids have always liked to run up on the pulpit. I don't know what it is about a pulpit. It's like they just want to get up there. And there used to be a time when parents wouldn't let their kids run all up on the pulpit. No, go up there, that's holy ground. Take off your shoes. You're on holy ground. But here's what I want to tell you, that's holy ground down here. That's holy ground all throughout this auditorium, all throughout this sanctuary. But let me tell you something else. When you go out onto the parking lot, you need to think of it as holy ground. You need to think of your home as holy ground. When you go to work, you need to stop complaining and say, Lord, I'm on holy ground. Because I'm still going to enjoy my worship experience. Now, Oswald Chambers, one of those writers from, I think it was the early 1900s, late 1800s, one of the books I have of him, you know, when I used to buy books 40 years ago, I didn't know whether or not the writer was dead or alive. I just kind of liked the book. And this guy's been dead a long time, but he said something that made sense to me. He said, in all natural things, we are to be spiritual. And in all spiritual things, we are to be natural. Therefore, we're to be naturally supernatural and supernaturally natural. That's got to soak in for a minute. In other words, I don't care where you go, I don't care where you are, you ought to be able to act the same way. I still have people that'll come up to me after knowing me for weeks or months, and they say, I didn't know you were a preacher. That's because I didn't tell you that I was a preacher. I didn't want you to start acting different around me by my telling you that I was a preacher. I just want to see your natural habitat up there. You ought to be able to act the same way on the track that you do in church. Oughtn't be no difference. In all spiritual things, we are to be natural. In all natural things, we ought to be spiritual.